Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. I want to thank all of you for being patient as I continue to work through the injuries with my shoulder. I also want to thank you for helping me to reach a milestone on the channel, and that's 300 subscribers. Let's push towards 350, hopefully by the end of the month. I'd love to get there by August 1st. You can help by encouraging people to like, subscribe, comment below. But today we're going to talk about dating narcissists. What are the signs you're dating a narcissist? I think this is super important because especially now with coronavirus and all the challenges of life, people that have severe personality dysfunctions are coming to light at a very rapid rate. And a lot of times people don't realize that they're dealing with someone with a personality dysfunction until it's too late or until they've already emotionally attached to that individual. So there are some signs that you can learn early on that will indicate that you may be having some challenges in this area. And I want to go through, let's see, about 4, 5, 6 or 7 of them. And so the beginning is, are they buying you off? So we all have weak points, right? Like human beings partially have weak points for a great number of reasons, and weak points can be exploited. And so if you are a person whose love language includes gifts or compliments or extra time spent, and the narcissist understands and learns that love language quickly by asking some probing questions early, they can buy you off by speaking to you and working with you in the currency that works best for you. So if I know, for example, and I have, let's say I have, just for the sake of this argument, a narcissistic tendency, and I want control of a situation pretty quickly, and I know that you like gifts, I'm going to bring a gift every time I see you. And now it doesn't have to be large, it doesn't have to be expensive, but it's the consistency of I'm using the leverage of your weakness for gifts or your weakness for, let's use compliments as another example. If I know that you are starving for attention of compliments, then it's easy for me to look at you and even if I'm not sincere, even if I'm not real, say, hey, you're really looking good, or hey, you smell really good, or hey, you really knocked it out of the park with your exam today. And if I do that consistently enough, your brain is going to think that I'm attaching to you at a deeper level than I actually am. And so one thing a narcissist will do is learn your love language really quickly, and they'll ask probing questions so they can learn that language, and then ultimately they will find a way to use that as a point of leverage. The next thing is they have killer instinct. So another way to know you're dating a narcissist is if they do 2 things. Number 1, they're hypercritical of everyone else but you or but people that are connected to you in the beginning. In other words, they may support in the beginning your relationship with your friends and family. That will come to die with time, but they're hypercritical of the waiter. They're hypercritical of the gas station attendant. They're hypercritical of people walking down the street. They're hypercritical of mistakes people make in daily life. They may throw their own friends under the bus. They may go for the jugular with insults really quickly. And they're going to do this in a way where they reaffirm at the same time, you're not like that, but these people over here, yeah, they're idiots. Yeah, they're morons, and here's why. I'm better than them, and here's why. What they're beginning to learn or what they're beginning to use is this reality that they know eventually, if they are critical enough of others, but not critical of you, you're going to eventually fear, what if they were critical of me? And so now your brain's natural reaction is to be subservient, is to be submissive, right? And that at the end of the day, they're looking at you going, well, if they don't want to mess with me, and if they know that I'm going to go, I'm going to roast whomever, I'm going to be confrontational with whomever, they're not going to want to deal with that from me towards them. So, that's another tactic. And keep in mind that sometimes, very rarely, maybe 10 to 15% of the time, these behaviors are unconscious, But about 85 to 90% of the time, a narcissist completely knows what they're doing. It's become a habit to them. Sometimes it's even like a sporting game. It's a challenge to see how quickly you can reel somebody in for a narcissist. Um, just to kind of see, hey, how much dumber are they than me? Because one thing that narcissists commonly have unilaterally is this belief that they're smarter than other people, that they understand things that other human beings don't, and that belief can often lead to problems. So, another thing too is how they control conversations. Conversations, ultimately, in a healthy relationship, I talk, you talk, I talk, you talk. And I work with clients on the volley, right? So the idea is a healthy relationship is a volley. I give, you give, I take, you take, and we both end up better as a result. It is a game of tennis, only with emotions involved. Well, a narcissist doesn't care about playing that game. They may listen about you about maybe 1/3 to 1/4 as often as you listen about them, but they are always going to reroute the conversation back to their favorite topic, themselves. And so if you notice that, we're talking about, hey, I went on this vacation one time and blah, 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 blah. And then they go, oh, well, I got to tell you this story and this story and this story and this story. And then you go, wait a minute. I told one story. You told four. And all of a sudden you realize that you've spent the majority of time listening to the narcissist self-aggrandize, put themselves over, basically pump themselves up, and they're also at the same time looking to you for validation that this behavior is okay. In other words, they might say something like, "Oh, I know you want to tell me this story, but," or I just remember this. Don't let me forget that. And then all of a sudden, they've taken the conversation back, because the control of the conversation means control of your mind. And it's a beginning to controlling how you think and what you think of them. But more than anything, it's also the desensitization that your ideas, your beliefs, your experiences don't matter. So another thing is they have no rules or no boundaries, right? So most people have boundaries. Most people understand the concept of boundaries. Hey, this is cool, this is not. Hey, you can yell at me, but don't punch me. If you ever punch me, we're done. Or, hey, you can tell me that you're frustrated with something, or whatever, but you don't ever want to you don't ever want to, scream at me in public, or you don't ever want to do this or that. So the narcissist has no rules, they have no boundaries. Matter of fact, one thing that a narcissist will commonly do in a dating scenario is question the validity of your boundaries. They'll say something like, do you really want to be that sensitive about that? Do you really care that much? And then they'll go, if you loved me, you would. Or if you loved me, you wouldn't. Or if you really cared, your focus would be on. And it's always redirection back towards breaking down your boundaries, breaking down your rules. Now, what's the goal of that? The goal is two things. Number one, and it's the next thing on the list, is control, right? They want to have control of your thoughts, of your ideas, of your concepts, of your time, of your energy, of your mind, and sometimes of your body, the way you dress, the way you speak. Anything that a narcissist can control, they want to, because what happens for most narcissists is there was a soul level or a emotional level self-injury, which ultimately leads to a misperception that they don't have control. So controlling another person gives them back control, and ta-da, here we are. The other thing that they want to do is, on the fulcrum, everything that is dark is light, yin and yang. They want to convince you have no control and you don't need to seek control. In other words, if you believe falsely that the narcissist always has your best interest at heart, or the other side of that is that the narcissist is never to be challenged, then you're not going to look to regain control in your relationships. You're not going to look to, have self-autonomy, which actually makes you the ideal person for the narcissist. Now, here's the problem with that. Narcissism also can lead to, in some cases, I'd say about 30 to 40% infidelity, because even though a narcissist is kind of pounding you out like your bread dough, and they're kneading and they're kneading and they're kneading and they're kneading to just get you in the right pliable position, the challenge becomes, once they've done it and you're completely what they want, they get bored. And it's like putting that toy on the shelf back again, right? So there's a challenge with that, and that is sometimes the narcissist gets what they want so well that they get bored. That leads to infidelity, it leads to reckless behavior, and a bunch of other things. So the last thing I want to touch on, and I've touched on it in other audios, but I'll touch on it here, lack of empathy, lack of emotional connection. A narcissist cannot care about you more than they care about themselves. Now, they may care about you in some ways, but usually that way that they care about you is directly related to how useful you are to whatever they're trying to accomplish, to however they want to feel, to whatever they want to experience, whether that be mentally, whether that be emotional support, whether that be sexually, whatever it is. You're only as useful as how you can be used. And so emotionally speaking, it's like think about taking a bag or a box of food. And that box of food is useful, and it's useful when you open it, and it's useful as you're eating from it, and it's useful until it's empty. And then when it's empty, it's no longer useful, and you throw the box away. For a narcissist, you have to understand that people, and especially dating partners, are just boxes. They're useful until they're empty of use, and then they're thrown away and discarded. And so while you're building emotional attachment, while you're building a plan for a future, they're not looking at the future. They're not looking at you as like, okay, I can't live without this person. Instead, they're looking at, can I... is there anything more I can get from this? And when the answer becomes no, they'll disconnect from you quickly. They'll disconnect from you almost immediately, because there's absolutely, positively no reason to continue that relationship. So in the end, that's the idea and the concept behind a narcissist. Until next time, this is Scott Golden reminding you, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.